Welcome to another segment of Black History Moments. So, for this next 5 minutes, we are going to look at the time of 1844 through 1877, primarily starting with 1844 because that's when the convict leasing loophole first started. It started in 1844 in Louisiana, and it was due in part to the old law we learned about in our last segment called the Jim Crow Law. This loophole in the Jim Crow Law allowed convict leasing, and it was justified because of the loophole in the 13th Amendment, which we know is what abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except there was an exception as a punishment for a crime. So, therefore, this form of punishment was predominantly used in southern states and primarily targeted the African American male. African American males were used as laborers on white owned plantations during this time. These primarily southern states leased prisoners who had some sort of crime, and we'll get into the crimes, to private railroads, mines, and back to the large plantations to generate income for the states. Other forms of cheap or forced labor included indentured servants and sharecroppers. Again, they could be also freed but having to work again because they had no way of income, or they were, right in this episode, in prison for some sort of crime. Although they had no desire to go back to this form of work, they had no choice. So, due to this loophole in the law, it was a crime if these freed people refused to enter labor contracts with landowners. These laws also made it a crime for free people to change employers without permission or to sell cotton after sunset. So we didn't have very many choices. 9 southern states adopted vagrancy laws, which in essence means if you weren't working, then you were subject to being accused of vagrancy or crime. It was a criminal offense for African Americans to be unemployed. One law specifically stated that all free Negroes and mulattoes over the age of 18 must have written proof of a job at the beginning of every single year. 8 of these states enacted convict laws which permitted the hiring of people in county prisons to plantation owners and private companies. Yes, this type of convict leasing of people and sharecroppers, free or unfree as we know now, trapped the people again into a system of slavery, another type of slavery. Once again, they were forced to work for little or no pay. This forced system was, in essence, free labor, primarily in southern towns, because it allowed the once devastated southern towns like Greenwood, Mississippi, to regain and once again be called the cotton capital of the world. But as we all know, not everyone has the same mindset. There were other different mindsets as well that didn't really like this law. But I can tell you, as I say, but we know there's something else coming. Companies like the U.S. Steel profited from the system of cheap or no pay labor. The labor movement itself fought against it because it resulted in lowering wages for other employees, and they needed employees as well. And it was increasing unemployment. Yes, So it had a actually adverse effect as well. At the same time, manufacturers were against the system as well because they could not compete against the lower wages. Douglas A. Blackman, a Pulitzer Prize winning author, stated and referred to this convict leasing as slavery by another name. So, I hope that you will have some deep discussions within your family, relatives, and friends and look deeper into convict leasing and see what it is all about as we discover Black history in this Black in detail or in more depth, I hope, in more deep conversations during this month. So until next time, we have one more section, maybe two sessions. Stay well, be blessed, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video. Bye.